Hey everyone, I'm Grandmaster Magesh Panchanathan from Kings and Queens Chess Academy. Today I want to have a small video about what are the types of classes that are available and what might best suit you based on your needs. I have been having lots of questions and conversations with parents about this over the years, and I realized at some point that I'm actually repeating the same things. So I decided to make a small video where it shouldn't take you too much time, but at least it should give you a picture of what are the different pros and cons of the different types of classes and what can be best suited for you. Now, let's jump into our first thing. How are our classes structured? The first point of classes, it's separated into two main sections: group classes and individual classes. As you can imagine, we have definitely different pros and cons for both sides, and today I just want to talk about both of them a little bit and what they are serving. The purpose of each class is different, and it's important that you understand what these classes do. First, the benefit of the group classes. Group classes are great when you are learning knowledge that's common for everyone. We call it core knowledge. Think about you going from second grade to third grade in school. You're not going to learn anything very specific to your strengths or weaknesses. You're going to learn the general subjects, math, science, whatever it is that you're working on. And it should be common for everyone. It's also very necessary. It's just because it's common doesn't make it irrelevant. So group classes will focus on common things like tactics, calculation, endgame studies, planning, strategy, things that everyone has to learn to become a good player. Now, at Chess Kings and Queens, we have a strong curriculum that's built for each level. We have 8 different levels, and for each level, we have a curriculum week by week that will follow all these core concepts. So the good thing is when you do the group classes, you can easily study and follow these, curriculum concepts in a very structured way. That's one of the biggest benefits you have in a group class. The second thing is group classes like where a student is engaging with the coach, but also with other students, even if it's online. A one-on-one interaction is you and the coach. Whereas in group classes, there are multiple people. Others are speaking, they're giving their answers. You're competing with these other students and you're playing games, whether it's online or in person. Again, in person is always much, much better in terms of engagement, but online is still not bad. But in any case, you get to play with other students as you're learning. So it's very nice for you to be in a setting which is more fun and lively, and there's more engagement and participation. We'll come down to who will definitely benefit from this next, but for now, this is what a group class does. Now, we also have weekly homeworks. Every week there is a class, and then there's a structured homework that follows up with the group classes. Now, what are the advantages of one-on-one classes? As you can imagine, everything that a group class cannot do typically is where the one-on-one kicks in. Personalized attention. In a group class, there might be 5, 10, 15 students in a classroom, and you might not be able to get this individual attention. In one-on-one classes, you're going to get that. So the whole 1 hour with the coach is yours to take. But at the same time, it's also only you. So if chess is not your complete thing, it might be boring too. So you have to remember that too. And the second thing you can do, which is very, very important in our one-on-one classes, is that you can get personalized lesson plans. At Chess Kings and Queens, we truly believe that a person gets stronger, or student, a person, whoever that is, gets stronger by sheer number of hours that they put into learning. If you spend 10 hours a week, you're going to get good. You spend 20 hours, very good. You spend 40 hours a week, amazing. So how strong you're going to become totally depends on how much time you're willing to spend. Now, imagine you meet a chess coach once a week for 1 hour, but you're spending 10 hours studying the game yourself. Now, the time you're spending with the coach is only 10%, only 10% of the total time. The remaining 90% is the time you're spending on your own, and it needs structure. Your one-on-one coach needs to provide it, and that's where we come in. When you do one-on-one classes with us, we'll make sure you have a structure. For 10 hours, you have to do 2 hours of tactics, 3 hours of puzzles, or watch a couple of hours of videos. Whatever that structure is, it is very specific and it is tailor-made to an individual student. And that's one of the biggest advantages of a one-on-one class. The next thing is you go to a chess tournament, you come back, you have to have your game analyzed. In group classes, we cannot do that because there might be 10 kids in a class. I won't be able to look at each and every student's game and analyze them. So game analysis is a major part because when you analyze the games, you get feedback. what mistakes did I do, right? What is more relevant to my game? Having said that, I also want to add a disclaimer here. At earlier stages in your tournament game or in your chess preparation, your mistakes are most likely going to be common. Even if you get individualized feedback, I can, for example, bet that a 500 rated player, when they go to a tournament and come back, I can name 2 or 3 things that they need to work on, and probably 99% of the time I would be right. So, again, all of these rules have some exceptions too, but the main point is that at an earlier part of the game, even if you do the analysis, the feedback is still general. You have to do your tactics, you have to play your game. As you get stronger and stronger and stronger, your feedback for your game and your mistakes will start making more individualistic sense. Hope that made sense. And lastly, one of the biggest advantages of having a one-on-one individual class is that you can build an opening repertoire, which will also follow pretty much the same game analysis route. You would study very specific opening ideas or repertoires that suit your playing style. Now, this is only going to get formed as you get stronger. You definitely are not going to feel any huge difference at an earlier stage of the game. As you get stronger and stronger and stronger, maybe opening repertoire, even like 1500, 1800, 2000, you start realizing your strength. When I say these numbers, these are all ratings I was talking about. And at that point, your strength becomes more clear and your weaknesses become more clear. Having specific opening choices also become very clear. Having said that, in today's world, openings are pretty universal. All top players, if you see, they play all openings. They might have some strengths, but they still kind of experiment and play everything. Yeah? All right, so that hopefully gives you an idea of what our classes are. Now, let's go on and talk about what might be best suited for you. Now, we have split this into 3 different categories. You can be a starter, meaning you're just beginning the game and getting a hang of it. Or I have the second category of getting there. That means you're kind of in there, not completely. And the last one is the serious kind of player. Now we'll go through each and every group and see what their characteristics are and where you might fill in, right? First, starters. Very simple. You're a beginner. You have not learned the rule of the game. You're just learning. You're learning the basics. You're just getting introduced to chess. You belong to the starting category, right? And most of the kids here are under 10 years old. If you're over 10, that's absolutely fine. But majority of the kids who start playing chess are probably under 10. Now, if you're younger and you're starting the chess, the first part I want to say is that you want to make sure a group class setting is available for you, because you don't want the one-on-one interaction and the whole time a coach talking about chess to a student when you're not even sure if the student is completely into it. On the other hand, the group class gives you some buffer, right? You're able to play with other kids. You're able to see someone else having fun. That kind of fun will feed on you, right? And other things like that. You get to play games. So for starters, it's typically a very strong suggestion that we say is that go for group classes, because you're going to learn the basics, which is common for everyone. And you're also going to enjoy the experience probably a little bit more than one-on-one. Now, there are very few kind of students who can be exceptions. You start and in the first week or 1 month, you already know that the kid is absolutely loving chess. Then there is a possibility you can do one-on-one other things too. But otherwise, for starters, I want you to think about group class as probably the way you're stepping in. Now, getting there. You have started playing some tournaments. You have some experience in the game, and you've gone through a few levels in our curriculum, and now you're playing some chess tournaments, and you're also beginning to work on chess a little bit more. Now, this is the most common time I get approached by parents. I'm playing a few tournaments. I'm not sure what's going on. Should I start doing one-on-one classes? Absolutely possible, right? You can start one-on-one classes when you're getting to that point where you feel like I'm kind of liking chess and I want to do more, right? But the most important criteria, there are 2 main important criteria that I want to mention here. One is, are you playing at least 1 or 2 tournaments a month? If you're not doing chess tournaments, you might not get the best bang for the buck with your one-on-one classes, because your coach should see your games to do game analysis. So if you're not playing a lot of tournaments, maybe you're not ready for one-on-one yet. And the second thing is also, you should be spending at least 7 hours in a week. 7 to 10 hours is roughly an hour or hour and a half a day. And the reason I say this is because you need this volume of hours to get better. And a coach can only help you provide with a lesson plan and other things if you're putting in those hours. Imagine you're only spending 2 hours a week. You don't need an individualized lesson plan. You don't. You're not going to benefit from it, right? So the two major things I would think about is that, have you had some experience? Have you gone through some levels, at least 6 months to 1 year of chess? Do you have a USAF rating, maybe 500 or 700 and above? Even more, I would say maybe around 1,000, right? And you start playing games and you feel like, I need a little bit more individual feedback of what's going on. This is the time when I would say you can start considering one-on-one classes. Again, at any point, you don't have to stop the group classes. It can always be an additional thing, which I'll come to for the last category of serious chess students. Anyone I mean serious is that at that point, they've committed to chess as their main activity. That's what they do. Maybe there is one other activity, but chess is definitely at the top, and they're willing to spend time. They're spending at least 10 to 15 hours a week on chess, and they're always, or I wouldn't say always, they're very regular to state and national championships that happen in the local area. Now, if you're able to do these things, I would say you're already at a point where you're a reasonably serious chess player. And you want to spend more and more time, you want to get better, and you have now goals. You want to reach expert, national master, international master, grandmaster, whatever that is, right? You can start thinking about some of these serious goals. At this point, I usually recommend doing both, because group classes, like I had mentioned earlier, is that you do need to have the core part of your lesson learned. Imagine you're an 1800 rated player and you're working on some strategy. It's still the same for all 1800 players. You cannot make anything individualistic out of that. So what happens when you're 1800 or you're a serious player and you only do an individual class? This is what happens with me. When a student comes to me and they're only doing the individual classes, I have to pocket my hour for different things that I need to teach the student. One will be maybe, openings. One will be maybe some, core concepts like end games or like planning and strategy. One may be game analysis, which takes quite a bit of time if you play tournaments. So, and then one, of course, working on the lesson plan and constantly adjusting or setting specifics for that. So I'm doing all of this with my one-on-one students. Now, if I have a one-on-one student who also does group classes, it will make it easier for the one-on-one coach, because now I will not focus on the group class core concepts, or at least I won't feel that is the highest priority, because I know my student is learning that part of the game in the group classes. So they're supposed to work together in tandem. You do the core learning in group classes and you do the individualistic learning in the individual classes. And I would, again, only recommend this if you're a very serious player. Otherwise, you're spending too much money, you're spending too much time, and you're not sure what you're getting at. So to sum it up, if you're starting, we recommend a group class. If you're kind of getting serious and you're playing tournaments and you start beginning to feel like I need some individual feedback, you might be ready for a one-on-one individual class setting. Of course, you can talk to us and we'll find the right coach for you. Lastly, if you're becoming really serious and you're saying, hey, chess is my thing, I want to spend my time, I want to do really good, then you could combine them together and get the best out of this whole scenario. Now, the whole thing is still only a recommendation. This is not necessarily a rule. So there are always exceptions, as you would imagine, for all of these things. So reach out to us if you have any questions. Hopefully this gave you some clarity about how to approach the classes and what kind of structure you need. And do you really need a group class or an individual class? And hopefully that helps you. Thank you.